It was late fall, Peter's favorite time of year. Nearly all the leaves had fallen from the trees, and the crisp, cool temperature created nearly perfect weather for him. Peter worked as a mailman in an affluent suburban neighborhood, where door-to-door delivery was one of the few remaining jobs. He started at one end of the neighborhood and efficiently completed his deliveries by early afternoon. He enjoyed working at a brisk pace, both for his health and to finish his day early. During his runs, Peter rarely encountered many people. Those who did cross his path tended to ignore him, regarding him as part of the background. Peter didn't mind. He just smiled, made brief eye contact, and continued on his way. One early morning, while beginning his route, he came across a young boy sitting on the steps of an old house. He had seen the boy here on several occasions before, but this time something felt different, as if he had been expecting the encounter. The boy, no more than 10 years old, with pale skin, blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and an almost expressionless face, sat on the steps waiting for the mailman. Peter handed the boy his mail and gave him a warm smile before continuing on his route. The boy's gaze followed him down the street. The next day, the scene repeated itself, but the boy was at a different house farther down the street, waiting even earlier than before. Peter continued to deliver the mail to the boy, even though he suspected the boy didn't live in the house where he found him. Their silent routine persisted, with the boy following Peter further down the street each day. There was always a package for the house where the boy was sitting. Although they never spoke, Peter felt increasingly uneasy as he approached the boy. Peter became anxious and fearful about this part of his daily work. He sensed that something was deeply wrong with the situation. One day, as Peter headed toward the boy's house, he realized that the boy would likely be waiting at the first house on the block, as he had moved a few houses up the street each day. When he turned the corner, he saw an impromptu memorial at the corner, adorned with flowers, crosses, small plush animals, and toys. Peter looked apprehensively at the first house, almost dreading what he might find. This is a memorial for a boy. It must be for the boy, thought Peter. He glanced at the house, half expecting not to see the boy there. However, the boy was sitting on the steps, waiting for him. This time, the scene seemed even more chilling. The boy stared at his feet, tears rolling down his pale cheeks. Peter reluctantly approached the boy, handed him his mail, and asked, "Do you know what happened here?" The boy lifted his head slightly and nodded, fresh tears streaming down his cheeks. He pointed to the memorial at the lampost's base, and then up to a newspaper clipping taped at eye level. Although Peter couldn't read the words from where he stood, he knew what the newspaper article was about. "It's about you, isn't it?" Peter asked, his voice on the brink of breaking. He couldn't believe he was talking to the child who had tragically died at this very spot. "No," the boy replied in almost a whisper. "It's about both of us." Peter buried his face in his hands and sobbed uncontrollably. Memories of the accident flooded back. The out-of-control car, his futile attempt to push the boy out of harm's way, and the collision with the pedestrian that had tragically cut their lives short. "What's your name?" Peter asked, trying to come to terms with this new truth. "Michael," the boy replied in a slightly firmer voice than before. "Well, Michael, I think I can finish early today," Peter said to him. He placed the mailbag on the well-manicured lawn and walked down the street, leaving the makeshift memorial on the corner behind. Michael got up from the steps and followed.